This chapter is called The World of Islam, in which we study the beginnings of the world religion, Islam. Now, Islam started in the Arabian Peninsula that you see up there. This was a region that, at the time that Islam began, was uh, growing in importance. The caravan trade, just many different trade routes were going through this area, and as we've learned with the Silk Road, as we've learned in a bunch of other times during this course, when trade routes go through an area, that's good for the area. It brings money into the area, or at least money for some, money for those who were able to, to get their claws into it. So there are some cities, such as Mecca, that during this time become prosperous, right? Many people in them become wealthy. So there are many cities in the Arabian Peninsula that are centers of trade during this time, but not all Arabs live in cities like that. There are cities where some live. Others, called Bedouins, live in the desert, and they're more nomadic. You guys remember what nomads are. So this is the setting in which Muhammad is going to be born. This is the setting in which he's going to take the stage. You've got some cities, some elites who have made themselves wealthy, and some, Bedouins, some, nomadic people who are sort of between the cities, living an older type of lifestyle. Now, the founder of Islam is a man named Muhammad. Muhammad was a merchant, a trader, a businessman who lived in Mecca, which is right over there. And when he was 40, he started, preaching this new religion called Islam. Prior to that time, the people in the Arabian Peninsula were polytheistic. That is, many of them, most of them, had or believed in many gods. But Muhammad started preaching this new religion that was monotheistic. That is, they believed in just one God and had other messages as well that we'll get to in a second. And again, he lives in Mecca, and he starts, delivering this new message or this new religion, and he gets some followers, but not very many. He's sort of a small, dedicated group of followers, and otherwise, he's not particularly popular in Mecca. The elites, that is the sort of the business elites, actually don't like his message very much, because he's preaching sort of against corruption and against sort of the bad things that they've been doing. So they kick him out. Him and his followers leave, and they go up to Medina in 622. You see that up there. They go up there, but up there he starts gathering a very big following. He starts getting more popular. He starts getting more followers. And Islam, significantly in the beginning, did not separate political and religious authority. Muhammad didn't say, oh, let the princes worry about government. I'm just going to tell you the best way to live. He was a religious leader and also a political leader and a military leader. So up in Medina, he gathers, along with, preaching these religious messages, he also gathers this army, and he returns to Mecca in 630 with a large army, and many in the city, convert to Islam and to his, sort of new religion, and he goes forward and not only becomes this, again, sort of important spiritual leader, but also becomes the most powerful man in the entire peninsula. And by the time he dies in 632, he controls all of this purple area here. He is the leader of a nation as well as a religion. So what kind of things did this religion teach? Well, here are 5 of them up here, and they actually are called the 5 pillars of Islam. One of them was the belief that there's only one God. Again, this is a very sort of strongly monotheistic religion, especially because it came about, in response to the polytheism that was in the area beforehand, right? So when the religion is made, the initial converts to the religion would have all, sort of been polytheistic people beforehand, who are then sort of, pushing that aside and taking this new thing. So that was and is a very important one in this religion. And another one was praying 5 times a day. That was an important thing and remains an important thing in this religion that still exists. Again, along with giving wealth to the poor, with making a pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in a lifetime. That is to say, every Muslim, every practitioner of Islam is supposed to go to Mecca if they are able, at least once in their life. Mecca being the birthplace of the religion, the place where Muhammad is from, and where he returned with his followers after he started gaining this large following. And all of these things are again supposed to be based on the Quran, which is the holy book of Islam that sort of contains all these teachings. So again, remember where we started. The Arabian Peninsula is a place, a sort of a center of trade, a place that's home to cities as well as nomadic tribes. Muhammad starts this new religion, gains many followers, actually becomes very, very popular with the Bedouins, becomes very, very popular with the nomadic tribes. They're much of his base of support, sort of comes from them. And then so he, sort of overthrows the corrupt elite of these cities, becomes the authority himself, and by the end of his life is in his own right this large sort of political power, along with being the person who's teaching these religious teachings up here. After he goes, and we'll deal with this more in the next one, the religion and the sort of political empire that the religion is all intertwined with is going to expand even more, is going to get even greater, and going to become this sort of very big, large empire that's going to dominate the world for hundreds of years. But we'll get to that later.